Today, I want to show you one of my favorite productivity hacks that I wish someone had told me about 5 or 10 years ago. And this is basically how I run an agency with 50 people and over 100 clients, publish content on this YouTube channel right here pretty much every single day. I have a coaching program with over 100 people for SEO, and I don't feel tired, burnout, fatigued, etc. In fact, I feel more energized than ever. And I'm going to show you exactly why and how today and how you can implement it yourself using the same process. And it's very, very simple, but if you apply it, it's going to save you hundreds of hours of time. So what am I talking about? Well, essentially, if you're running an agency, right, there's so many different problems that can come. So for example, even if you just take one little process, like for example, if you take marketing your agency, let's say maybe you want to do some YouTube content, then you want to do some podcasts, then you're thinking about doing TikTok, then you're considering doing a bit of LinkedIn outreach, etc. And that's just for the marketing of your agency. And let's say as well, you're making maybe 7 figures. That probably means your agency is about 20 to 30 people big. Then with people, you can have all sorts of problems. Sometimes they're not going to show up. Sometimes a boyfriend's going to break up with them, and that's going to cause all sorts of issues. Sometimes they're going to get ill. Sometimes they might just not do what you say. Sometimes they just forget what you said and they don't do it. And there's no malice or anything like that behind it, but it's just all these problems can arise when you're running an agency. So then all of a sudden, as the CEO of an agency, right, you've got your marketing team and that's all crazy over here. You got all the people you have to manage and that's getting pretty crazy as well. And you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, right? There's all this stuff going on, and that's the CEO of most agencies. And then let's face it, you've got all this other stuff. Like, for example, you got clients and all sorts of crazy stuff that can happen with clients. You got the service to deliver, and that can get pretty insane. You might have the ops team running late. You might not be able to hit deadlines. You might need to change your service because there's too much competition. That happens all the time. You constantly have to adapt. You can't stand still. And then on top of that, you got all your tasks to do, right? As a CEO of an agency, you've got the hiring process, you've got your productivity list. Sometimes you're going to feel a bit burned out and fatigued, etc. And basically what you're going to find here is that everything can become very, very complex. In fact, infinitely complex. And that can go pretty insane. That can weigh very, very heavy on you. Before you know it, you're working 24 hours a day. You're not sleeping. You feel tired. You feel burned out, etc. So let me show you an easy way to get around this. If you do what I'm going to show you, you'll become what's known as an essentialist. So let me delete this. And instead of running in all these different crazy directions, you're just going to focus on the highest leverage stuff. And I'll show you how to do that in a second with a philosophy. Essentialism. This is going to be you, or this is me right now. And everything is much easier, simpler, and faster. And I'm going in one direction because of the strategies I'm about to show you. So what am I actually talking about? What's the difference between this sad agency owner over here and this happy one that represents me right now? I'll be honest with you. So I'm going to delete that little image. Essentially, what helps me the most, what makes me feel most at peace when I'm running an agency is absolute focus. Because you can have anything you want in the world, but you can't have everything, right? So if you're absolutely focused, then that's how you achieve results. Let me show you how to do that. So what am I on about? Well, what I'm talking about today is the power of elimination. If you can focus on the power of elimination, I can tell you now, everything's going to be faster, easier, smoother, and you're going to save so much time. Now, how do you do this when it comes to running an agency? Well, there's one question that you can ask yourself that works really well, which is, what do I need to eliminate to move faster? So, for example, a lot of agency owners, their life looks a little bit like this, right? And everything's crazy and it's all messy and there's so much going on, it's hard to tell between the mess. Whereas you can do less as an agency, but achieve much more because you're focused on the highest leverage stuff and everything's much simpler. And that's an essentialist. This is based on a book called Essentialism by Greg McKeown, and this is a non-essentialist. I'm going to show you how to implement this as an agency owner. So if you're running an agency, right, one A player is worth 10 C players. Put that in practice. For example, let's say, I've got 10 account managers, but they're all very average and they don't keep their clients that they actually need to. Whereas if I've got one account manager that all my clients love, and they're really excited to jump on a call with this account manager is very friendly, etc. That one account manager is going to keep way more and have a much higher retention rate than 10 other account managers who do a terrible job, annoy customers dread talking to them, etc. So that's an example of essentialism for people and hiring. Now, you might have also seen this video where I show you how I create $4 million funnels using ChatGPT and go high level. Now, this is another example of essentialism because For example, with tools as an agency, there's going to be a million different SaaS products that are trying to market to you. They're trying to get you money because there's so many different tools you could use to manage your team, productivity, etc. For example, as an SEO agency that does link building outreach, it'd be very easy for us to pay for Hunter and then do the email outreach, get a tool for email validation, Ahrefs for the prospecting, for finding link building prospects for our agency. Then we could use an SEO tool like Moz for checking the spam scores of potential link building prospects, etc. Or we could just buy one tool, which is Pitchbox, a little bit more expensive, but it's one tool and it's worth about 20 different tools. And it just saves us time. Plus, we don't have to manage a ton of different moving parts and duct tape everything together. We can just be really essentialist and focus on one tool instead of paying for a million and wasting a lot of time and getting very confused and very messy and spending a fortune along the way. I'm going to give you another example. I could have 100 different clients spending $100 a month. Maybe they pay me for writing content, etc. I'm like, great, I've got all these different clients that come into me, they're spending money with me, etc. But in the end, for all the stress, hassle, energy, time to manage 100 clients who are just spending $100 a month, which would be $10,000 per month, I could do link building for one white label agency. So one agency that's selling white label backlinks to their clients, and they've got maybe 10 clients willing to spend $1,000 a month. And it's a lot less energy to manage that agency. They're more fun to work with. They understand us. They understand what it's like being an agency. And therefore, that's our ideal client. And 100 clients spending $100 a month could get pretty crazy when it comes to managing them and their expectations. So this is what I'm talking about. You can either be the non-essentialist, where life is very messy and there's so much going on because you're just trying to compensate for not being very efficient, or you can be very effective, do few things and do less, but actually do it better. And again, that comes down to this. Happy agency owner over here because they're moving in one direction and everything's easier and smooth, versus this agency owner right here, which is moving in a million different directions, getting very confused. Everything is getting crazy. And every extra tool, person, client, etc. that they bring on creates a lot of complexity and a lot of stress that they absolutely don't need, like you can see in these 3 examples right here. And there's a million other examples that you can use as an agency owner. So for example, when it comes to client acquisition, like I said, you can focus on acquiring a few high value clients who really align with what you want. Otherwise, you can attempt to acquire as many clients as possible, whether they fit or whether they're crazy, etc. And that leads to all sorts of problems. Same with the services, right? I see loads of marketing agencies who try and sell everything. They're selling ads, they're selling funnels, they're selling SEO, etc. But the problem is you can't sell all of those and do it very well and keep your clients happy. Whereas if you just focus on one service, for example, like me, I've just focused on one thing, which is selling backlinks, as I've talked about. This makes it much easier to productize my service. If I can productize my service, everything is going to be easier, faster. It's going to be more profitable. My clients are going to be happier because I do one thing and master it very well at my agency. And my team don't get confused because they're like, right, we're just building backlinks again. And we're just going to rinse and repeat that over and over again and do it really well. So this is the power of essentialism and how much it works. So now we've talked about the power of elimination and basically asking yourself, what do you need to eliminate to move faster? And for agencies, we've talked about that as well and how that works. Let me talk about how this can affect you as an agency owner. So I see all sorts of agency owners who get constantly distracted. Now, I'm 34, still a young whippersnapper, but if there's one thing that's actually improved my productivity over the last, say, 10 years, and if I look at my life, there's one thing where if I plot my productivity and I look at my productivity over time, basically my productivity has gone like that. It's absolutely insane over the last 10 years. And it's because of one thing, right? And that is not meditating in the morning or drinking lemon juice or something ridiculous like that. It's actually just quitting alcohol. It's one of the most powerful things I've ever done because instead of going backwards at the weekends and, having a hangover, not feeling like working, being knackered on a Monday morning, having a lot of brain fog, etc. When I quit alcohol, everything became effortless because instead of being switched on only 4 or 5 days a week or still recovering from the hangover on Monday or Tuesday morning, I'm in the zone every single day. I don't have any brain fog and I'm just switched on. I have tons of energy, etc. And also, of course, you save a ton of money and you're not going backwards at the weekends. Now, there's something deeper to this, which is that this line represents your results, right? But the actual willpower and energy required to maintain that decision, for example, quitting alcohol, actually reduces over time because you build up the habit of being productive and more effective and living without alcohol and having a good time without it, etc. Which means that over time, the amount of willpower and energy needed to maintain that decision actually reduces, whilst the results you get And then the success you achieve from quitting alcohol, it's not guaranteed, but this is just what worked for me, is actually increased over time. And this is pretty crazy because if you look at that as a decision, it's essentially you're not doing more. You're actually just eliminating one thing that had a massive impact on your life. And that's just one strategy. That's just one little tactic, right? But basically, removing distractions leads to more energy and focus. If you have more energy and focus, of course, you're going to be higher performing as a person, which leads to more success with your agency. But the key here is with less effort required, right? So it requires less effort to achieve more success. Now, quitting alcohol is one thing. You absolutely don't have to quit alcohol or anything like that. This is just one thing that worked for me. I'm sure there's a million other things that could distract me and I've already removed, but essentially that's basically how it works. And by using the power of essentialism as a strategy, not just for your agency, but for you personally, everything in your life is going to become easier. And here's the other thing. If you look at people, for example, like Iman Gadzi and how he achieves so much, I mean, he gets millions of views, he runs all sorts of business, etc. He talks a lot about monk mode, which is essentially removing all the distractions and all the vices from your life, not forever, but for a small amount of time, which leads to more success. And I would say that's because, again, you have more energy and focus. And that comes back to the power of essentialism, which is what do I need to eliminate to move faster? So thanks so much for watching. That's basically how I use essentialism to grow my agency, get better results, and do it without burning out or get fatigue. Now, if you want to sell backlinks and SEO white label to your clients, then feel free to book in a call via this page. I'll leave a link in the comments. And if you want to get access to my free agency course that's based on what's helped me scale to $4 million revenue, it basically teaches you how to increase your profits, your revenue, and scale faster. It's a free video training course. Then feel free to get that. Links in the comments as well. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Bye bye.